50, and welcome to our week 6 video. This is February the 14th through February the 20th. This week we're covering chapter 5, Sensation and Perception. This is a really interesting chapter all about how we use our sensory systems in our brain and how we perceive our surroundings. When we teach this in a seated classroom, it's usually a lot of fun. There's a lot of activities. Unfortunately, in an online class, we can't really do that. So I've included some interesting videos and web links that we'll talk about in just a second to kind of supplement the chapter. Make sure that you're reading chapter 5 in your textbook. You've got your audio PowerPoint, the flashcards from your book, and like I said, that folder with videos and web links. Items due this week, of course, are Chapter 6 quiz. Remember, as always, that is your attendance for the week as well as a quiz grade. And most importantly, your journal article for your written project is due. Let's take a look in the folder. There's your PowerPoint. Those are the flashcards. This here is the video folder that I told you about. I've got several really important videos that you need to make sure that you watch here, specifically this audition one and the vision one. Those are required videos because there are specific questions from those videos that will be on your exam. So make sure you're watching those videos and taking good notes on those. I've got a really interesting web link here for a website called Brain Den that has lots of great optical illusions that we talk a little bit in this week's audio PowerPoint. So make sure you check that out if you're interested. And then the last videos I have are 3 videos on synesthesia. In this week's lecture, we'll talk about how synesthesia is really a crossing of the senses, how in your brain the neural systems between 2 different senses are connected. For example, in this last video here, the man who could taste words, this is a man who, when he hears certain words, it is connected to certain tastes in his mouth. For example, if he hears the word pencil, he might taste bacon in his mouth every time he hears that word. So very interesting video that talks about synesthesia. Let's go back to our regular folder and talk a little bit about this journal article submission that is due. Now remember, over here in the left-hand column in the menu for Blackboard, we have an entire folder that is titled Written Project. So all the information from this week is also in this Written Project folder, as well as all of the due dates, and the submission portal for the journal article is located here too, just like your topic overview was last week. For this journal article submission, all you're doing is finding a journal article and uploading it into Blackboard to use for your project. Now remember, your written project has 2 parts. It has a topic overview, which is kind of like a summary report, facts and figures on the topic that you chose last week. And then you also have a journal article analysis where you're taking a professional, scholarly, experimental journal article and you're analyzing that journal article in a certain platform, which I explained to you in that folder. You are not writing anything at all this week. All you are doing is getting a journal article approved for the project. Many students that I found in the past pick articles that are either not experiments, they are not from scholarly sources. You need to make sure that you follow the directions very carefully and upload a experimental study that is from a scholarly journal. I've included 2 different videos here of how to do that. Also, if you need help, please reach out to the Wake Tech Library. They are more than happy to help you, even virtually, find journal articles. They know about these types of projects. They are more than happy to help you find journal articles. As well, you can always stop by office hours. I have already helped many people find articles already. We've had students who have already submitted their journal articles and are writing their papers, believe it or not. So check out these 2 videos. I tell you exactly what you need to do. Again, this journal article must be approved before the deadline. The deadline is Sunday, 2/20 at 11:59 p.m. However, that being said, please do not wait until the last minute because it has to be approved. If you pick a journal article that does not meet the criteria and upload it, it is not approved. You have to make sure that you're checking back with Blackboard to see if your article was approved or not. If you submit at 11:30 on Sunday night and it is not an acceptable journal article, it will not be approved before the due date. And if it's not approved, you will not be permitted to turn in a journal article analysis for your project. Just like there were believe it or not, in class of 200, there were some people, we had just a few, who did not turn in a topic for their project. Those people are not permitted to do the entire project. They've got a 0 on the entire project. So if that's you and you did not turn in a topic, you don't even have to bother to do this because you have already gotten a 0 for the project. If you don't turn in a journal article, you will receive a 0 on the journal article analysis portion of the written project. So in order to get it approved, you need to make sure that you turn it in early so that I can make sure that it is approved before the due date. Besides these videos, I've included a couple of questions down here that are really important that you answer. Is the submission that you're turning in, is it an experiment? It cannot be a case study. It can't be a literature review. It cannot be a doctoral dissertation. It has to be an experiment. I explained this in the videos, but a good way to know that is, does it have an introduction? Does it have a method section? Does it have a discussion? Does it have a results section? Sometimes the method section is also called procedures, and that's fine too, but it should have all of those different sections. If you go through the written project folder, you will see examples of other students' work of how this should be written out, and you can get a good idea of what you're looking for when you're looking for a journal article. Secondly, is it full text? You cannot submit an abstract. It has to be a full text article. Third, is it a PDF? You do not submit a link. If you submit a link, I'm not even going to look at it. It has to be a full text PDF that you upload onto Blackboard. Next, is it from a scholarly or peer-reviewed journal? And lastly, is that submission related to the topic that I chose, the topic that you submitted already into Blackboard for your project? Now, I've talked to some of you already. Some people have chosen very broad topics. For example, if someone chose eating disorders in general, you might find an experiment that has to do just with binge eating disorder. Even though your broad topic is eating disorders in general, that is absolutely fine. Vice versa, let's say that you chose anorexia nervosa as your topic. You can choose an experiment that has to do with with eating disorders as a whole. Either way, as long as that experiment has something to do with the topic that you chose, you are absolutely fine. Okay, let's take a look over here in the folder. The written project folder. Again, you've got your due dates. I've kept on there the written project guidelines, the format for the journal article analysis. It's a good idea to look at that because it's going to tell you what you're looking for in that journal article. I've got an example and I've got some student papers. Here in this folder, the journal article information and submission portal, I've got everything that I included in this week's folder, as well as the actual submission button. This is where you're going to turn in that full text PDF. Again, please make sure that you are doing this little checklist and making sure that it is an appropriate article. I can't stress enough to do this early. As I've said many times, I checked email last time, 5 p.m. on Sunday. If you turn in an article after 5 p.m. and it's not a correct article, if it's not an experiment, if it doesn't meet these criteria, it will not get approved. So give yourself time to be able to get your feedback. Make sure you're checking Blackboard, you're checking the feedback from your submission to see whether or not your journal article was approved. You do not want to, this is more than 50% of the total grade for the written project. You don't want to get a 0 on that portion simply because you didn't get an approved topic. So make sure that you are conscious of that. Make sure you are following the submission guidelines for that journal article. Remember, that's due Sunday before 11:59 p.m. If you have any problems at all and you cannot find an article, please reach out to me and come during office hours. I am happy to go with you on Teams, and I can help you find articles that you can use for the project. Again, very important that you get this in. Hope you all have a great week. Any questions at all? Please make sure that you reach out. I'm more than happy to help. Have a great week.